This video will show you how to do some basic photo editing in Photoshop. Specifically, I'm going to show you some tools that may be useful for this meme assignment. They'll be useful for other tasks too, but I'm going to focus on this meme assignment as well. So if you've never used Photoshop before, go ahead and open it up. You can find it from the Finder option, or you can find it under your Launchpad. I'm going to go ahead and open Photoshop. It looks like this. And the first thing you need to do is bring in the images that you want to work with. So I've got 3 images that I'm going to use. But before I bring them in, I'm going to talk a little bit about my process for thinking about this particular meme. So I read this article. It was called How Society Pays When Women's Work is Unpaid. And it was really interesting because it compared different countries and how much time men and women spend on domestic work, things like childcare, or not just childcare, but household chores like laundry, cooking, cleaning, and it compared them. And the overall takeaway that was emphasized is that unpaid work is essential for households and societies to function. It's valued less than paid work, and when it's women's responsibility, it prevents them from doing other things. So that was the main thing I took away from this particular article. So I'm going to make a little meme to kind of help to emphasize this point. One of the images I'm going to use is actually from this article. It's a woman doing laundry in a lake near San Salvador. The sort of task that often falls to women worldwide. So I'm going to bring in my first image, which is going to be that particular image. And then I'm going to bring in the other 2 images that I'm going to work with, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing them in a second. So these may seem odd, but I'll explain it at the end. Alright, so these are the other 2 images that I'm going to work with. I can access my images here at the top of the screen, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to bring images and combine them. So the first one I'll do is this water polo one. There's this neat tool, it's called the Magic Wand or the Quick Selection tool. If I click that, I have several different options up here. I have a minus and a plus. I'm going to choose plus, and I can change my brush size, and you're going to have to play around with this depending on your picture. And when I click on this guy, okay, it selects like areas on him. So what I want to do is use this quick selection tool to select all of the image that I want to cut and bring into the other. So I'm going to select this volleyball. I'm going to select his arm. And again, this is working out real well. You may have to adjust the brush size. And okay, perfect. That did not get, or excuse me, it got a little bit more than what I wanted. So make sure I get the ear there. Okay. And I've got this water here. I don't want that. So I'm going to click this minus button, and I'm going to then take that away. And again, you may have to adjust the brush size to do this perfectly. Once I've got that, I'm going to click Command X to cut or Command C to copy. And I'm going to paste it onto this image, Command V. You notice it's huge. Okay, and you notice when you paste anything, it makes a new layer. So I want to make sure I'm selecting the correct layer, and then to resize it, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and now I can resize it, and I can also move it. And I'm going to put this, and then I click off it. Or excuse me, I'm going to click the Move tool right here, and I'm going to let it apply. And now with the Move tool, I can then move him around. And if I ever want to go back and resize, all again I have to do, make sure that layer is selected, and then go to Edit, Free Transform. So I'm going to move him right about here. Alright, and now I'm going to bring in the other image. This one I'm going to use a different technique to cut, and I'll show you why in a second. So you can also cut things or select things with the wand tool, but also using this lasso tool. And this is useful if you're doing a really specific thing that requires fine edges. You can use your mouse and kind of surround him, and then you connect to where you started. And once you get the running ants, you can connect. Okay, so you can do that, or I'll get rid of that selection. You can use just this shape tool, just the rectangle. So I'm going to take a piece of this, and then Command X, go back, Command V, and then move it around. Okay, now you notice that I have this water around it. And the reason I did not use the Magic Wand tool is because I wanted to show you how to use the eraser as well. So I'm going to click on the eraser button, and now I want to make sure I'm on the right layer. So I want to make sure I'm on layer 2, and then I'm going to take the eraser button and erase. Okay, and you notice it's not erasing the background or any other layer other than what I'm on currently. Now, if I was on the background and it was unlocked, and I click erase, you notice I'm erasing the background. And sometimes it's hard to see because if I erase here, I think, why is it not erasing? It's because I'm on the wrong layer. So I'm going to undo that. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the correct layer, and I'm going to keep erasing. And this is not going to be perfect, but I'm just going to do the best I can. And what you can also do is you can use the zoom feature to get close to edges, and I'll show you that as soon as I finish these edges right here. Alright, so if I wanted to get closer, I can use the zoom and zoom in or zoom out. Hey, and I can get closer to edges this way, so I can get it to be a little more perfect. Now, you notice when I do that, this image in particular becomes very grainy, and it becomes very grainy because it was not a high quality image. So that's one thing when you're doing image work you want to check on as you are downloading or creating images, is making sure they're high enough quality for your purposes. This is not going to be, the best quality image, but I am going to zoom out, so you're not going to notice the pixelation as much as you would if it were this close to begin with. So I'm going to get close as possible to this inner tube without getting rid of his head or part of that image. And that's decent. It's not perfect. Now I'm going to zoom out. Okay, now I'm going to resize by going to Edit, Free Transform, resize this guy, and move him around, put him here in the background. Alright, so far I've showed you how to use the lasso tool, I've showed you how to use the Magic Wand or quick selection tool, and how to kind of operate with these layers. Now, if there's ever any time you want to move things in front or behind, you can do that by dragging the layers. For example, if I drag this layer 0 to the top, it's going to hide both of the images that I brought in. You see that there? Okay, so I need to put that as the background. As you're working too, you can also, instead of just moving layers, you can turn on or off layers so that you can view them. So for example, if I turn off this top one, it's going to make this guy go away. He's not actually gone. If I took an eraser and erased, he would erase. It's just turning him off for the view. Now the last thing you'll probably need for this assignment is to add text, because you'll need to be able to add text to make your meme. So I'm going to put a text box up here, and then I'm going to type a nice relaxing beach vacation. Or let's change it. Isn't this a relaxing beach vacation? Alright, if I want to change the size or the font of the text, I can do that up here. I'll make the text a little larger. That's probably too big. And I can change the color of it using this, okay, but I'd like white. And when you're doing anything with images and text, make sure your viewer can read the text. Okay, so that's my meme. Isn't this a relaxing beach vacation? And the point of view here is that, even on vacation, this woman is doing laundry and the men are off relaxing. Okay, so it's a commentary on how society pays when women's work is unpaid, and talking about how when it's women's responsibility to do this type of work, it prevents them from doing other things. In this particular example, it's preventing them from even relaxing at the beach, as these men are enjoying the ocean, playing water polo, and lolling around just in a float. This woman is doing laundry. Okay, so that's your goal, to make a meme using Photoshop, using some of these specific tools. When you're done, you need to save it and upload it to Drive. In Photoshop, there are several different save options that are important. If I go to File, Save, there are a couple ways you can save things. If you save things as a Photoshop file, what that does is it saves all your different layers so you can continue to edit. If you're not done editing an image, this is very important. You want to make sure you save this original Photoshop file. If you are done, you can save it as a JPEG. The only problem with doing that is that once you've saved it as a JPEG, it's going to combine all these layers into one, and your image is going to become much, much, much harder to edit. So if you want to keep doing work, I would recommend, even if you don't want to keep doing work, I would recommend always saving a JPEG when you're done, and saving the Photoshop file if you want to go back and change things. So I'll call this current event meme. I'll just save it to my desktop. And now I've got it on my desktop. Okay, and I can upload this to Drive and share it. Okay, so that's how you use Photoshop for this particular assignment.